Here I'll talk about certain approaches of political discourse. These approaches are certain assumptions or propositions on which the kind of language which we have in political discourse is involved or relies on. Political discourse is the use of language in ways that humans, being political animals, tend to recognize as critical. We need to separate such elements from others so that we can have a better idea of what kind of elements may be called political discourse. These elements are not reduced to a certain level of language, rather they can be found in all levels, ranging from lexis to structure, overall structure, to a sentence and beyond sentence level. And these tokens can reflect its speakers' political behavior. So we reach to people's political behavior through the language they use. One of the assumptions in this regard is that political discourse operates indexically. It signals certain things about speaker who uses it. For example, people's choice of one language rather than other is an indication of his or her identity or the promotion of certain way of thinking. For example, in multilingual societies, if a person speaks certain language in the society or public forums, he would be more associated with that language. Let's say if we are dealing with Pakistan's National Assembly, where Urdu or English medium are used usually, if a person constantly goes in and speaks, a member of the parliament speaks a local language, maybe Punjabi, Sindhi, Pashto, or any other language, so that shows his or her affiliation to that language, and that probably would signal certain political message also. Similarly, people's choice of accents shows their social class, words associated with political ideologies, forms of addresses, etc. They all can be used as indexicals, and they reflect people's identities and ideological orientations. Political discourse also operates in an interaction. It cannot happen in isolation. We have to see how things have been interacted and how the interaction has been managed. Certain interactive signals, for example, interruptions or overlaps, they indicate some kind of conflict, or in certain situations maybe cooperation between people. Such interactions often signals boundaries between the speakers, their ideologies, and bonding sometimes, the closer relationship. They also comment about ranks and roles, which obviously we can figure out during our discourse analysis. Interaction functions to negotiate representations. So we also deal with representations in the political discourse. For example, these representations are not some kind of fixed views, rather they are dynamic. They are developed through the use of discourse. These are multiple worldviews people have. So these worldviews can be seen as representations as created by the people. So different politicians may have different worldviews of certain issues. So they may be called their representations of those issues. People communicate among themselves partly in order to coordinate their world conceptions. And this is one of the reasons why we can see that interaction is very important to be understood to negotiate representations in political discourse. Shared representations may be assumed sometimes. People instead of getting into deep details, they just assume what is being meant by a certain type of discourse, which may be misleading in certain situations, but usually in political discourses, certain shared representations are assumed. Certain presupposed meanings are shared by the relevant community, and they dominate political discourses more than often. Recursive properties of language subserve political interaction. In politics, it's very important to guess what a politician's or a main player's rival is thinking or doing. Without a theory of mind ability, which is language independent cognitive ability, this would be impossible. So humans, individuals have to separate representations of the world that they have from the others which the rivals have. So that's why language can help them out to separate their ideologies, their worldviews from others, which obviously is a very critical purpose. Modal properties of language promote political interaction because every language have one or another kind of modal properties which indicates certain basic human behaviors, let's say of responsibility, obligation, orders, compulsion, certainty, doubts, evidence with a certain argument being credible or incredible, kind of stuff. It also indicates towards the sources. So modal properties are very important in political discourse. They help us in establishing credibility claims towards rightness, truthfulness, or legitimizing a certain piece of information. Binary conceptualizations are important to political discourse because most of the political speakers they develop their arguments in some kind of binary compositions where they always keep their opponents on the other side and their supporters on their side. So similarly, their choice of words, their choice of phrases, metaphors, and other choices of language reflect these binary conceptualizations. Throughout the world, the trend is the same. These binary conceptualizations are important to understand political discourses. Political representations are sets of role players and the relations. They help us know or assume certain political or discourse ontologies. They also help us to know about various objects, people, places that exist and the relations among them. For example, what did to whom, where and when, etc. All these questions are to be answered in political discourse, and these questions are embedded in most of political discourses we bring into our investigation. Political discourse draws on spatial cognition also. For example, territorial belonging or territorial thinking is an important component of our socio-political instinct, and this is reflected in political speech also. And this, in other words, is an important component which needs to be understood, that what kind of territorial association a certain kind of political discourse has, both in terms of time and space. Then political discourse involves metaphorical reasoning. In political discourse, we must assume that metaphors are not a matter of rhetoric or kind of social embellishment. Rather, they can be used some kind of strong forms of reasoning which convey a certain ideology or certain identity. So metaphors are not for the sake of fun or for some sake of linguistic show-off. Rather, they are an important forms of reasoning in political discourse, so their analysis becomes very important. Spatial metaphors can make concepts of the group and identity available. Spatial cognition are found again and again in political discourses, and they are related to our image schema as well as the past schema. The image schema usually lets us know about the conceptualizations of groups of all sizes, from family to overall state. However, the past schema is very important in political discourses and their analysis because they help us to know about the conceptualizations of time and also of action, and therefore through them we can reach to the real meanings of various policies, plans, national history, and grand ideas like progress or change, as we have seen a very famous word, tabdili, in our recent political history in our country also. So this past schema can actually help us figure out or dig deep such popular political terminologies also. Political discourse has specific connections to the emotional centers of the brain. Political activity very much relies on how people feel about a certain identity or ideology also, and political demagogues are experts in exploiting those feelings of the people. Therefore, these political feelings, relevant feelings such as territorial belonging, identity, love of family, fear of the outsider or intruders, they are very much linked to political discourse. Political discourse is anchored in multi-dimensional discourse. For example, political discourse rests on the intersection of several didactic dimensions. These are cognitive dimensions tapped into various kind of linguistic repertoires. We need to identify a certain position of one speaker, and we can identify those positions in space, time, and modality. So a political discourse can use more than one modalities to express a certain ideology. So all these assumptions are relevant to understand and analyze political discourse from multiple perspectives.